Hello world, this is Dennis Behrman. I'm the Senior Vice President of Marketing at ResMan Property Management Solutions. You have joined us for our third installment of Cocktails and Compliance with two of the baddest experts in affordable housing. I'm joined by our very own Rue Fox, Solution Specialist here for affordable housing at ResMan, and Janel Ganim, Vice President at RightSource Compliance. We have one of the most exciting podcasts in a long time in this industry, so I'm going to be very, very over the top. You'll want to stay tuned for this whole thing. Got some really cool things going on here. As, of course, this is Cocktails and Compliance, I would like to introduce our experts, and they will introduce the cocktails. So let's go to Rue first. Rue, would you like to talk about your cocktail?
Well, sure. Today, I am having a truly hard seltzer that is pineapple flavored, and it's very tasty.
Yummy it is.
Yes, it is.
Also yummy are your career achievements. Would you mind telling the world about some of the things you've done in and around affordable compliance?
Oh my goodness. I've been in the world of affordable housing probably for 23 years. I have extensive experience with all of the different agencies, deep relationships there. I work with all of the associations as well, and I am SHCM certified and CPO certified.
SHCM certified.
Specialist in Housing Credit Management.
I like the pronunciation of that acronym.
SHCM? It's cool, isn't it?
SHCM. It's very good. And of course, our next expert is a friend of ResMan, awesome gal overall, and another amazing compliance expert, Janel Ganim. Janel, what's the cocktail in your hand at this hour?
So, fun fact about this cocktail, this bottle of wine was acquired in a weekend in Seattle where Rue and I spent a couple of days before a trade show on our own time in case anybody feels the need to go look at expense reports. But we spent some time doing some wine tastings and found a lovely little boutique winery up in Seattle called Sparkman, and I am drinking Holler, their Cabernet.
Awesome stuff. And Janel, you also have a litany of career achievements in affordable compliance. Can you please discuss your CV with the audience at hand?
Far more than I.
Although Rue and I have known each other probably the entire time we've been in this industry. Another fun fact. So, like Rue, I've been in the industry 20 plus years, most of that on the software side and now on the consulting compliance services area, which is a super fun place to be. I'm very involved in NAMA and some of the regional AMAs, as well as multiple working groups with HUD.
Awesome. This is, I said, this is a very special podcast. We are on the verge of some really exciting news. And by the time you guys hear this podcast, we will have announced ResMan's very own end-to-end complete affordable solution that we're, of course, calling ResMan Affordable. So before you finish listening to this podcast, I strongly encourage you to go to myresman.com, check out the news about our amazing new affordable solution, reach out to one of us. Chances are you're going to talk to Rue somewhere along that line, and you'll have a great conversation. And your affordable compliance with our solution will become easy, reliable, confident, convenient, and it will give you back a piece of your life. That's what we're trying to do here, is give these people back a piece of their life, right?
That's right.
So, enough of the plugs. Let's get to the issues. Updates from previous podcasts. So we've spent a lot of time in the past talking about e-cig and e-storage. Presumably some movement has happened in this space. Janelle, you want to take a stab at this one?
Yes, because you know it's my favorite topic in the whole world.
Sure is.
Yes, we do have some movement. I have talked to some folks at HUD recently. They are super close to releasing this notice to the public for some comments. It should go out in a couple of weeks, and it will be available for public comment, which is their normal process. However, they generally put items out for comment for 30 to 60 days, but since we've been working on this for like 73 years at this point, they are only going to put this out for a 2-week comment period. which is great. And honestly, the reason that they're doing this is because the industry has been so involved through the working group and commenting before it even made it to HUD. They feel like they've got a pretty good representation from the industry of what e-signature and e-storage should look like and how it should function. So we're getting close. Ridiculously excited to see this through to the finish line.
That's great news, Janelle. I got a question for you on that. Do you foresee any type of forms review on here? Like that's holding up the TRACS release a bit. So is there anything that you foresee on this as far as that?
I don't, and we actually worded the notice very generically to say that any forms that an owner, agent, or HUD use to run their business where there is an affordable HUD contract on the property is open game for electronic signature and electronic storage. So I don't see that holding this up in the same way that it can hold up a TRACS release. Having said that, just a reminder that the notice is allowing owners and agents to use electronic signature and electronic storage and not requiring this.
So all of you guys out there with HUD properties should be dancing in the streets because you are finally going to be able to get rid of mounds and mounds of paper, probably outside paper storage, all of those things. You're finally going to be able to rely on updated technology. Woohoo!
Nice work. And Rue, what's the sense for those who maybe have a little bit of consternation about leaving paperwork behind?
So I got to tell you, in the last few years, as we've been having this conversation throughout dealings in the industry, there's really not any consternation about that. Everybody is super excited. There's a big Going Green initiative and trying to stop killing as many trees as we are. And so everybody is really excited about that. I think you're going to see an industry-wide adoption pretty quickly.
Super cool. So as Janelle mentioned, this has been a 73-year process. Kicked off in 1946 for
Before
those who
we were
can do
ever
some
even
math.
born.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might have exaggerated a tiny bit. It feels like I've worked on this for 73 years.
That's true. In those regards, Janelle, do you want to disclose the hand you played in all of this?
So I co-chaired the working group to develop this notice and co-authored it with someone else who's actually very hands-on in the industry, Mary Ross. But we did have a lot of input from owner agents, from contract administrators who are very anxious to see this take place.
So great to have a true champion for the affordable industry working on this. I think we're all as an industry really, really lucky to have such great leadership. So thanks to you both for this. This is super cool. Along those lines, TRACS 203A, we have an update on that. This is the one that seems to take a long time as well, like 77 years maybe?
It has been in the works a long time. And, I remember the last time we talked about this, we joked about the sports book and things like that. And had I been a betting person, I believe I said at one point that electronic signature would get approved before TRACS 203A.
You did.
I think I was right. I think it is going to happen before 203A. So there were some delays. We were waiting, as Rue said, on OMB approval of forms. The government shutdown earlier this year did not help us out in that respect. So they are playing catch up, still trying to get those approved. We have not gotten formal notification that those have been approved, but what we are hearing from HUD is they expect implementation to start sometime this summer. I'm using air quotes for those of you that can't see that. I do anticipate that there will still be a 4 to 6 month transition period, as with any big TRACS release, but stay tuned for, quote, sometime this summer.
That's hot off the presses from NAMA, where we just were.
Which transitions, that's a beautiful segue good job, Rue, into the next agenda item for the podcast, which is you guys were in D.C.
We were.
Right? Actually, I've had the privilege of being in D.C. with both of you. Also to talk about e-sig and electronic storage and that kind of stuff, identity theft. So I guess there's a little plug in there because we're going to be all at SWAMA.
That's right.
Together.
April 24th.
Check us out there. So DC. So y'all were at NAMA. I understand there's a full range of issues to discover, starting with REAC.
Ooh, boy.
Wow. So what's up with REAC?
Yeah, get your popcorn, kids. This was probably the hot topic at NAMA. HUD has made some changes recently, as they do from time to time. They have concerns that properties are able to pass their inspections and still have poor unit conditions. They don't think that the inspections properly identify health and safety conditions. And one of their biggest concerns was they thought that owner agents would prep for inspections as opposed to do year-round maintenance. So, along those lines, HUD decided that they are now only giving 14 days notice of an on-site inspection.
That didn't go over real well.
It did not go over well at all. Literally sent the industry into a tizzy. I mean, if you think about it, if you've got a maintenance supervisor who's got planned vacation, or in some cases there are people from the corporate office that will come to the property for the inspections to be there, it doesn't really give you a lot of time to plan for travel or absent staff. And HUD went so far as to say that if you were to cancel or reschedule, you get an automatic score of 0.
Wow. Quite the punitive scoring system there if you're on vacation.
Yeah, and along those lines too, this goes into effect March 20th of 2019. So it really did send the membership into a little bit of a frenzy, trying to figure out how they were going to react to this. And when HUD was asked about it, they said there was absolutely no negotiating the 14 days.
No negotiating.
None at
Yeah,
all.
didn't it originally start at 7 and we somehow got it negotiated up to 14?
Yeah. So they are looking at a couple of initiatives. Short term is the reduced notification time for the inspection. And also in their short term plans are making sure that carbon monoxide detectors are now mandatory in units with gas appliances, which, totally makes sense. I mean, we have that in our homes if we've got gas stoves and things like that. So they're also looking at some long-term initiatives that go into effect in Q3 of their fiscal year, which begins in April, actually. So they're looking at putting a greater emphasis on eliminating health and safety hazards. That was really the overarching theme that we saw that was driving this. And they're changing the new model for how the inspections are conducted. So previously, the unit inspections made up 35% of your inspection score, and now that's bumped to 50% because they are so concerned about the quality of the actual unit as opposed to, say, the building exterior or something like that. They're starting a 2-year demonstration of this in Region 3, which covers Pennsylvania, Virginia, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, that area, because they have such a cross-section of property types, and it's a pretty close geographical area for them to be able to look at this. So they're looking at a new scoring model, a change in, like I said, the focus of what they're looking at. And so they're doing this on a 2-year trial basis to see how it goes.
Got it. And for those out in the audience who don't get the chance to participate at the regulatory level and that kind of thing, you mentioned the process of it being, the regulation coming out being 7 days and then negotiated to 14. Tell the audience how that kind of an interaction works. Like, we have visions of this kind of being like House of Parliament in England where, people just yell insults across the legislative chamber and stuff. I imagine it's a little bit more civilized than that, but shed some light on this whole process and how these things, is it, in a meeting room? Is it over email and phone calls? Like, how does this whole thing work?
It is handled through all of the above. And a lot of times when those decisions are made, those decisions aren't made including the owner agents. Those are made at agency level. And then a lot of times they just get pushed down to owner agents, which is one of the reasons why they've got a demonstration period, which is HUD speak for a trial period to see how it's really going to work out. And that's one of the reasons they do those sorts of things, is to see if what they think is going to happen is really going to happen, or if this is just going to cause more problems than it creates solutions. And they also state that this is not really designed to hurt the good guys. they know that most of the people are taking care of their properties. This is really designed to ensure that they're not giving you an extra amount of time to quick hurry up and go address issues, because now you know you've got an inspection coming. So,
yeah, I mean, the intent really is making sure the property is maintained well on a year-round basis, and not just oh my gosh, I've got an inspector coming, so let's hurry up and do all these things at once. So I understand that.
There was quite a bit of discussion, and some of it was quite heated, but that is what we came away with. So
we actually sat on the front row for that session.
Exciting. Did you get hit with any of the tomatoes or rotten eggs?
No, I was actually really surprised because it was relatively calm. The React team did a great job of responding well. You know, they understand some of the duress that it's causing as well, and they're wanting to be a partner. So,
yep. Very cool. Okay, we have an agenda in front of us provided by our awesome guest. So, permission to move on to the next topic.
Permission granted.
The next topic on the list
need
is
a gavel. There you go.
There we go. Income averaging.
Woo, big topic.
Yeah,
That's a big topic.
This is new and exciting for tax credit properties. So we're all used to minimum set-asides of 20% of your units at 50% median income, or 40% of your units at 60% median income. So the way this came about is part of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2018, so relatively new. But the bill allows for you to move in residents at the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or 80% median income. And the goal here is that any combination of units can be identified as intended to satisfy your minimum set aside, as long as the average affordability of the units is 60%. So the thing that's great here for tax credit properties is if you have a higher applicant pool to choose from, right? So I can, instead of being limited at a 60% income, now I can move somebody in at a 80%, and maybe the next one I'll move in at 40 because I'm still going to average out to 60, right? So that means sometimes when they have market renters in the units, maybe they qualify really at 80%. So now those are suddenly tax credit units because you're still going to serve the lower income population as well. But again, it increases your applicant pool, and it also allows you to charge higher rents for the 80%ers, since the tax credit rent is calculated off of the income limit. So it just makes a property overall more viable and is a great option for tax credit developers.
Yeah, I agree. Many times, depending on the market where a tax credit property is, while you think that because we talk about it being affordable housing, that it's easy to occupy some of those buildings, but in many instances, it's not always in a favorable location to occupy. And so you're competing sometimes with market properties down the street. So this should give everybody an opportunity to have much better occupancy levels at their tax credit properties.
Right. And, where it is a new program that comes with its own challenges, right? And tracking it obviously is a little bit difficult. So software vendors have had to kind of make some adjustments there to accommodate and be able to show that your property averages now to this new income, as opposed to the way we've done in the past to track a minimum set aside or, that. So it's also a challenge to report this data up to state agencies and syndicators. I mean, some of them are literally asking for spreadsheets that show this information and show a way to track it, because they don't have a great way to report that data up as well.
Gosh, Rue, I hear asking for spreadsheets and things like that, and I say to myself, gosh, there should be a technology out there that can do this.
There should be. We have started working on it at ResMan. I know it's challenging. We are up to the task, so I think everybody can look forward to having some really great ways to manage income averaging as it starts rolling out across the country through the ResMan product.
Excellent. Permission, Janelle, to move on to the next topic?
Proceed.
The next topic is crime prevention. Janelle, what's the update on crime prevention?
So this was interesting. At the NAMA meeting, we have an affiliate breakfast. So the affiliates are the vendors, and they are allowed to present a topic at breakfast. And, you know, the topics range, and we try to keep them to something that's timely with things that are going on in the industry. But I'm not going to lie, sometimes it's hard to come up with topics. But this one was really interesting in that we haven't talked about crime prevention before at NAMA. And everyone thinks, oh my gosh, I got to get security cameras. It's going to be expensive. And so it was a way to share with the membership ways to reduce crime on your property that don't really have a huge budget implication. By all means, pop the top on your next beverage. Let's hear the noise.
Ready?
Are you watching calories that you're drinking light beer?
I don't watch calories. Janelle, proceed with your update, please.
There are different ways to look at this. One is design. So it was interesting to think about as you may want to develop a new property, looking at something that has a natural barrier, like a pond or something like that. That was an interesting way that they talked about limiting the access to your property. We've all seen properties with those gates that have, 4 entrances, and maybe the gates are broken and you're constantly having to fix the gate or whatever. So the suggestion was made to maybe just have one gate that works and have one access in and out of the property to control the element that is coming onto your property. And increasing the visibility. So, we always think about the dark mailbox area where, who knows who's hanging out in your mailbox, right? So
no lights at the back of the property,
no lights at the back of the property, things like that. So these are, easy ways to watch what's going on. It was interesting to note then from an MOR perspective that you don't get dinged for having crime on your property.
MOR means?
Management and Occupancy Review.
Management and Occupancy Review.
Thank you.
I learn something new every single podcast.
We love our
we try.
acronyms.
Thank you so much.
So there's no finding for having crime on your property. What they're looking for from an MOR perspective is, what do you do when there's crime on your property? Do you ignore it? What steps do you take to prevent it? So this panel also offered up some really low-cost ways to prevent crime on your property. Things as simple as, walking your property, but they said, change it up. Don't always walk right in the front where you see, go to the back corner where the light's always busted out because something's going on in that part of the property, right? Making sure that your property, you want to have great curb appeal anyway, but making sure that your windows aren't broken and you're repairing things so that, if people know you take pride in your property. Basically what they said was make it hard for the criminals, right? If it looks like you don't care about your property, odds are they're going to come and visit. So one of the things that I thought was really cool was using Google Maps to use the street view, take a shot of your property and make a circle of anywhere where there's crime on there and start looking, well, what is going on in this back corner? And the light's always broken out, like I said. So really tracking that. They talk about building relationships with law enforcement. What else, Rue?
Budget?
Did I miss anything?
Did we have a budget topic?
So the budget is doing things like watching your lighting. One thing that was interesting too was inventorying your high value assets. They mentioned AC units. They said sometimes those tend to walk off in the winter and you don't realize it until the summer when all of a sudden your building has no AC and now everybody's like, what's going on? And then it's expensive and it's kind of hard to file a police report when you don't know when that thing walked off. So again, some low budget item inexpensive ways to prevent crime.
Yeah, I thought that session was really great and informative. I actually started off thinking it wasn't going to be that big of a deal, but there was some really great pointers for properties. And, there's not a lot you can do as far as watching how people can access your properties today if you're already an existing property, but just the pointers that they gave about the lights at the back of the buildings and watching, where a light continually gets busted out and things like that. I think that was really helpful information.
Are those all the updates from NAMA?
Those are the big ones.
The big ones? Awesome. So NAMA's a great organization. Obviously, ResMan sponsors and supports that organization as well as all of its regional affiliates. We care very deeply about NAMA and our friends there.
Well, and one of the reasons why we care very deeply about NAMA is NAMA facilitates setting up visits to the Hill. And I got to tell you, this time, they had over 60 visits to the Hill scheduled on Tuesday afternoon, which is a lot considering the number of people that are there, because it's a much more kind of an intimate setting where you've got about 100 of the owners and agents around the country that participate. And so I would encourage everybody to consider participating. You're able to attend your first meeting that you've never attended for free. And they will help schedule meetings on the Hill, so they're very good about that. And they're very good about lobbying for things that impact the affordable housing industry.
Yeah, that's true. They have a great staff. They'll give you talking points if you're not familiar with it. They'll really walk you through the whole process.
I figure we should do one more plug for ResMan's most amazing announcement in the world, which is of our freshly launched affordable product. ResMan Affordable, go to myresman.com to learn more. We're eager to talk about it and eager to provide you guys with a terrific solution. Long overdue. This industry has needed something like this for so long. So we're very, very happy to be a part of that. Janel.
Dennis.
You do affordable compliance consulting. How can the people reach you?
They can reach me at jganim at RightSourceCompliance.com.
Awesome. Rue, you're always open for a conversation.
Oh my gosh, you can reach me, rue.fox at myresman.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. I am all over the place. I love this sector of the industry. I love to talk about it. And I would love to have the opportunity to show off our fabulous new affordable product.
Sounds good. Stay tuned. Next podcast, we have more updates.
Oh, I see what you did
See
there.
what I did there? More updates.
Dennis. Hey.
He's so cool.
So there is another working group with HUD. It is the MOR working group, and we are working on updates to that form as well as the scoring model. We are having calls every other week to talk about this. HUD has their own working group that we are funneling them some information from the industry. So we should have lots of updates for you at our next podcast.
Sounds good. We promise we'll have some new cocktails, new happy hour, new updates, and affordable. Everyone, Rue Fox, Janel Ganim, I am Dennis Behrman. We are ResMan Property Management Software.